being women in business, you can have it all if you choose. You can be at home and be an amazing mom at home as well. I support all decisions from all people. I choose, and what fuels my bucket is to be very driven in all those different aspects of my life. And so being a businesswoman was not going to stop me from being a mom and being a very successful mom as well. But also being a mom was not going to slow me from being very, very successful within my industry as well too. So I wanted to be able to, be and help other women see that it is okay to be driven. It is okay to want more. It is okay to be the breadwinner. It is okay to have the fancy house that you provided for yourself. It's okay. All those things are okay.
From the business capital of the world, the Big Apple, New York's Middle Tennessee, it says here. Sounds riveting. Yep. This is the Mostly Middle Tennessee Business Podcast, a podcast about Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals. Mostly.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Matt Wilson from the Mostly Marketing Podcast. He's the one who inspired the reinvented notion of this podcast. Used to be known as the What's Your Problem podcast, where we talk to Middle Tennessee business owners and professionals. We have meandering conversations, real conversations about the challenges, the wins, how people got started, their backgrounds of mostly Middle Tennessee entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals. This is a video and audio podcast. Check us out at MMTBP.com. You can like and subscribe and rate us there. That would be wonderfully appreciated. You can apply to be on the show if you like. We've got an application page. And, of course, all the ways you can watch and listen to us are right there as well. MMTBP.com. I am your host, Jim McCarthy, with JimMcCarthyVoiceovers.com and it'sYourShow.co if you want a podcast like this. Podcasts are the new radio. It's Radio 2.0, that's for sure. And today, this is an episode that is really good for those of you who are in the mortgage industry, the real estate industry. We've got a Tennessee, and I would say a regional rock star. I'm going to say national rock star. Let's put it out there. Who's been in the business for going on 16 years?
20 plus. Yeah.
20 plus years. And we've been friends now for probably a good 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Through our mutual friend, Mr. Monty Moore. Miss CareyAnn Cyr.
There you go.
There you go. Well, thanks for coming back on. This is your first appearance on the rebranded podcast.
Yes, I'm excited to be here. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you for coming.
You are one of the best in all the world of podcasts.
I try to. We had a great conversation just leading up to this podcast with my business partner.
We should have recorded that one.
No
that was a whole good podcast right there.
An hour and a half. It does really good business. Mm-hmm. I think I came up with a whole new term. Integrity equity.
There we go.
There you go. That's crazy. So how are things with you?
Things are good. It's funny. I was just telling you earlier, I had one of the worst things that ever happened to me turned out to be one of the best things that ever happened to me all of a little over 11 years ago. And I'm really blessed to be here today with a really vibrant and business that is still thriving and has made it through some difficult, times, but also is made it through some great times. And now we're navigating what maybe some people call the normalness of the mortgage business, with interest rates of what they are and prices of homes with what they are, But 11 years now with a local company here called CMG Financial.
Yes, and that's we covered that on a lot of your history and everything on the previous podcast. But in a nutshell, for those who aren't familiar with you, you started out. You came to town to be a singer.
Yeah,
I always say music. Ever done.
Yeah, music. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I always grew up in a small town in New England, in New Hampshire. And I always say music brought me here, and then I fell into an amazing career that allowed me to use my problem-solving skills. It actually allowed me to use my creativity with what I was really enjoyed when it came to the music, world. And now I find myself back on stage, helping and educating and giving back to our real estate community here locally. Maybe not singing, but doing some other things. So it's nice. I still use all those skill sets now as well. As I provide more, like I said, education back to the real estate community. So.
And it's funny because, there's been a lot of people that got into the industry in around the COVID time.
Yeah.
Because it seemed like you kind of went into that the whole time thinking that, oh my gosh, the sky's going to fall again. This is disaster. It was just amazing to see how the country almost like prospered in a way. Was that, am I off there? I mean, I thought I was telling my business partner probably the end of March, and I was saying, hey, so I'm not ready to retire. Like, this wasn't the plan, right? Yeah. We just woke up with the market just freezing there for a hot second. And then I got shingles again. And for those that know, I'm blind in my right eye because I got shingles, but with the stress of the industry that I was in. Building a business is not an easy task. And what I know now, if I knew back in the day, I probably would have changed and used more outlets, when it came to handling stress. But so I got shingles again. I was like, oh, here we go. And then all of a sudden the floodgates opened, and it was an amazing year. And really it started April, really, for many of us. And that year, personally, my team and I, we served over 1,000 families that one year. Wow.
I will tell you, as a business owner, I realized a lot that year. I realized that my systems weren't prepared for major growth as quickly. A lot of my systems broke. I had to rebuild kind of in the middle of it all. We ran out of hours, right? During the day. We ran out of just mental space as well. We went home with crumbs. We gave everything to everybody else but ourselves and our families. So we learned a lot, I think, that year. And it's taken a couple more years now to start to learn about balance, and as a business owner and also a full-time mom, we find that we give to everybody else but ourselves. And it's taken this year to make the decision that I wasn't going to forget about me. I'm as worthy as everybody else. Because at the end of it, what's it all said? What happens after you build this major business and you do all these things, then you look up and you're like, oh, I have nothing, meaning there's emptiness there, and so focusing on mental health and physical health and just really being prepared for a stronger tomorrow and a happier tomorrow was a big goal of mine this year, and really working hard towards that balance of all things.
Well, it's fun to live vicariously through you because I do see the pictures and the videos, and it's like, well, that looks nice. Those are some nice places that you go into, and it's fun to watch.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think travel's key. I just recently went on a trip with a couple other mothers and business owners. I think that was important. We try to get away once a year, and it turns out to be a business trip anyways, because all we do is talk about, business. But it's great to be around other people that are like-minded, that are very driven, that have the same responsibilities at home, and raising little ones, I think, is key. My little one's now 11, so we're moving into a whole new world,
yes, you are.
Yeah, of all the emotions. And so I think that getting away, a coach a long time ago says, you need to slow down to be able to speed up. And so I try to do that at least once a year, which I think is important to do. So plus, it's, we talked before off camera about celebrating victories. I never really did that for a really long time. And I think it's important to celebrate even the smallest victories. We talk about goals, and some people don't believe in goals. I'm a goal believer. I have my daily goals, my weekly goals, my monthly goals, my quarterly goals type of thing, right? And you might have your personal goals and also your business goals. And I think celebrating both of those when you achieve them, I think is key. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you in the game. It keeps you understanding that, today maybe I failed at something that I tried, but tomorrow I'm going to get back up and I'm going to fail forward, and I'm going to continue to move in a forward direction with not giving up on my specific, goals.
Right.
So
I've never been good with goals, setting them. Yeah. It's kind of like I have a pretty good idea of what I want to do. Maybe it's not a bad way to do things, but I'm getting into the habit of writing things down has been just a challenge for me, Yeah,
and you can, they say if you write it down, it's more apt to happen, but you can have it in your mind. I want to do 3 money-making activities a day. That's a goal for me, right? I want to do certain things from a self standpoint. I've started working out 3 times a week,
Right.
and then I went from being a walker to now a runner, and trying to make sure that I achieve that goal for myself. So we're talking little goals, right? And so it really makes you feel good that you've accomplished something so small. But if you can accomplish this small task, maybe I can accomplish this larger task. So as a runner, I'm looking out there and I see this large hill. And before, I would be scared to death. I would turn left versus turning right because I knew the hill was on the right side of the road. And so now I turn right every single time because I want to achieve that goal. I want to be able to go to the top without having to stop and continue to, move in a forward direction. I know if I can achieve that morning, I probably can achieve 3 other things, and celebration, I think, is key. And what are you going to celebrate? You could spend money if you choose. You could, jump in the pool with your little one. You could do anything, but you're purposefully making sure that it is in celebration of. I like the big trips or the larger purchases. Some people say, oh, I want to purchase a nice purse, or, for me, I always say, well, I will get nice landscape because I really like landscaping around my house. But I know I need the flowers in by a certain time frame. So I'm going to work my rear off to be able to achieve a certain goal. So I can make sure that, that happens every year. And now I drink my coffee around some gorgeous, vibrant red flowers out in my backyard. And that makes me say to myself, I'm doing this because I worked hard, and achieved that goal. And again, goals could be that you closed so many transactions, you helped, rise another employee to the next level. You closed this very difficult, sale, or you made quite a large profit, margin that particular month. So business is going to look different for all of us.
Right.
And the goals for each owner is going to be a little different. But I will tell you, over so many years, now it's managing multiple lanes, right? How do I build a successful business all while being a great friend to others, a great leader, mentor, coach to my employees, an amazing, mother to my daughter, and also someone who's not going to forget both her mental health and her physical health with all of that. So it's been a large feat for sure, but it's been worthy of great success, I think.
Well, when you put it that way, it makes me feel better because I kind of do those things.
Yeah.
I'm not cognizant of the procedure or the structure of them, I guess. So similar to you, I've been walking about 3 to 5 times a week.
Nice.
I probably do about an hour and 10 minutes. So it's about 3.5 miles on average. But it's always the first 5 minutes that you got to get past, getting out of bed and going, okay. Although lately I've just been getting up earlier and earlier. Like something's changed where I'm like, all right, so I guess I'm getting up at 5:30 now, which is fine.
Yeah.
Still going to bed around 10:30, and I still feel refreshed. The grounding blanket makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you grounded? There, you plugged in your blanket.
In the podcast that we produce, we talk about a lot of different things. The Talk of Music City Real Estate podcast.
Yes.
You can go check those guys out at talkmusiccity.com. We talk about a lot of things off the air, and one of them is like, have you tried grounding blankets yet? Oh my gosh. I thought it was just, malarkey. Somebody
I'm just still with sleeping pills, but one day maybe I'll become grounded. It's fine. You're funny. But I will tell you, everything's strategic and it all wraps back into business. Mm-hmm. So if I'm running, I am listening to Pitbull only because I want a good downbeat on my running.
Right.
But if I'm walking, it is a good business podcast. And I turn my podcast up. I don't know if you do this trick, to 1.5 speed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I'm able. They still don't sound like the chipmunks, mm-hmm. but they get through the podcast faster. So I'm able to listen to multiples. And I'm very strategic. So like this walk is going to be on marketing, right? Mm-hmm. So then I listen to 3 or 4 different marketing podcasts. And then after that walk, I make it a goal to work on picking an idea from one of those podcasts, and maybe sometimes it's multiple ideas. And then I work on strategically planning out how I'm going to implement maybe that idea.
Right.
So it is interesting where I am working out and I'm doing all the things, but it's always about business. It kind of relates back to it somehow, some way. So, and that keeps me in the game, right? I mean, it keeps me continuing to refresh my idea because some of our ideas can get stale, right? They can be outdated very quickly. Where this is the world of, you got to be on your tippy toes and ready to make, some pivots really fast, especially in the mortgage business and the real estate business.
Especially you guys.
Yeah. Right now we're in a world where we're going to be embracing some new changes when it comes to the real estate world. Interest rates were already supposed to have dipped a long time ago, and they haven't. And, we're already mid-year, and we were supposed to have already a refi boom, and we have not had that. And so we are very blessed in Middle Tennessee that this is a place to be, right? So people still need financing for their home, and whether that's for a purchase, maybe that's for a debt consolidation or cash out refinance, or maybe they want to take, their mortgage from a focus on interest first to a principal first interest called our all-in-one product. So depending on what they're looking to do, we have, as successful business owners, if you still want to be at the top and serve and help and educate as many people as possible, you have to be thinking different. You have to be acting different. You have to be getting out there on a regular basis. The ones that are sitting on their heels or waiting for anything to come to you, it's not going to happen, right? So that's why I love these podcasts. It ignites me, gets me excited for a new opportunity, a new way. The other thing I'll tell you too is I don't study other mortgage companies because that would be kind of a copycat, but I look at other business owners. So I would look even like at yours, right? I would look at Dunkin' Donuts. I would look at some of these sport companies, and I would say, well, they clearly have a large sum of funds within their marketing department and branding department. So what are they doing to turn heads right now? What is their strategy? And can I snag an idea there and bring it to a local level, right? That is related back to me personally and or the business that I'm in. So my daughter's always like, Mommy, why are you taking pictures, all the time at these businesses? Because I'm like, there's something in this poster. I haven't yet figured it out yet.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Of why they chose that word or why they chose that look and feel of that. But there's strategic behind it and strategy behind it. So I'm going to take a picture and I'm going to study it later and figure it out.
There's something hidden in the context here.
There's got to be rhyme or reason to it, right? Yeah. Think about like Got Milk, right? So long ago, if you ever watched the education behind that whole creation, it's an amazing podcast too. But something so simple, right? And how they built their marketing strategy around something so simple took off, right?
Yeah.
And so how can you keep things very simple? I love Donald Miller. He's another local gentleman. He's got some great podcasts, Business Made Simple, Marketing Made Simple. You need him on your podcast somehow, some way.
I've heard his name for sure. Yeah.
He's great. But again, he talks about, if you lose, you confuse, or if you confuse, you lose, right? So keeping it very simple and clear for your audience. And then who is your client? I think in business, we've got to decide who our client is, right? Some of us within the mortgage industry, we have technically two clients. We have the consumer and then we have the referral partner. And as a business owner a long time ago, I made the decision that I was going to focus on the referral partner and then love on the consumer, right? And so my audience and everything, my strategy and my marketing techniques are based upon looking for that 35 to 65-year-old real estate agent, and how can I build my business around, my marketing around that, and so my socials based upon that. The activities that I do out in the community are based upon that. Everything is kind of wrapped upon that. And, people want to know who they're working with, right? And so one thing, when it comes to being on, social media and stuff is being real, I mean, I am a mom. I am navigating being close to 50 and trying to, get my mental health straight and my physical health straight. So people should know that, right? People should be part of that. And also being a very driven and successful businesswoman, that is who I am. And so they should also see that, right? See all aspects, welcome people into your world, but make sure that if you're going to welcome them into your world, that you share a little bit of your world, I'm a very passionate and dedicated, mother as well. And I love my daughter to pieces. And so that's very clear, when it comes to all things that I share on social too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you do a great job.
Well, thank you.
You've been getting into a little bit into Instagram, a tad.
Yeah.
Right?
It's so funny. You talked about ages. So Instagram, all these other places is a little over my head. So I keep the younger generations a little closer to kind of help educate me on that. But thank goodness you can tie Facebook to Instagram, so it looks like I'm on Instagram, because a lot of the stuff just pops over there. But I'm learning it. We'll see. I don't have enough strategy around the success of it. But again, I'm my audience, right? I'm very clear. I'm very comfortable in my own skin. I know who my audience is. So, looking for somebody who can appreciate a good old Facebook is currently where I'm at. And I will tell you, as a business owner, I get a lot of business through that channel.
Does your garage door sound like this? If it does, it's screaming for help. Call Incredible Doors, 931-348-DOOR. We're making garage doors in Murray and Williamson counties work better, sound better, and, well, spring better. We just make them incredible again. Incredible Doors in Spring Hill. For when your door's springs break, you need remote reconnections, opener installation, or just about anything to do with your garage door. Go to IncredibleDoors.com or call 931-348-DOOR. Follow us on Facebook for specials on maintenance visits, keypads, and other items. 931-348-DOOR. Facebook is like an active white pages in a way. Does that kind of make sense? You got a lot of community pages. Here in Spring Hill, we must have probably 9 or 10 of them. 2 really big ones.
Oh, sure, yeah.
With like 55,000 people on one, which is the main one. They're really kind of, they kind of crank down on certain kind of content, and they don't really put up too much with chicanery, so to speak. The other one is, hey, we're kind of all no holds barred. We'll have fun with each other. We'll poke fun. Like local celebrities are made on these pages, because they're commenting and they say funny things. You can build legitimate businesses on those. Yeah.
And I also think you can build a brand. I think, a big part of your business, and many people within the mortgage industry and the insurance industry and the real estate industry, right? We're all CEOs of many businesses within larger businesses.
Right.
And personal branding is key, right? So when people now hear the name CareyAnn, and I love always asking, give me 3 words, to describe me, and it's kind of funny what you hear.
Right.
You hopefully are going to hear what you think they're going to tell you, right? Because that's your strategic branding is based upon, that, right? Driven, a woman of her word, not going to give up type of thing, who is going to help anybody and everybody, serves the community, right? Doesn't cherry pick or is not a diva on this loan or that loan. Anybody who crosses my path, we don't look at loan size. We don't look at anything. We just want to help serve that person and satisfy the needs and the ultimate goal that they have within the home buying process, because we focus on residential mortgage financing.
Right.
So that's our ultimate goal. And so that's what you want, right? And so, but how does one build a personal brand without getting themselves out there? You have to, right? And so it is a full-time job, I sometimes think. People say, oh, who does your social media? I do. Now I might get an idea. Thank goodness for AI. They can share some ideas, with you. I share a lot of stories. I learned that through Donald Miller, stories do share. So I share a lot of stories, but I write those stories, myself. And so somebody may read them, somebody may not read them. This one may go viral, that one may not, that kind of thing. And so the more I think you can share with others, I think, especially in a very noisy industry, there's many of me's out there. How do I stand apart? If we're all selling the same rate, if we're all selling the same type of good, which is FHA or conventional or VA, how do I shine the brightest when everybody is selling the same thing?
Decommoditization.
Yeah. And we talked a lot about integrity. I take my name and my word like very, very seriously. My dad being in the military, my mom, I giggle. My mom was the general, even though she was just an amazing labor and delivery nurse. But my brother said West Point was easy because Meg was the general growing up, type of thing. So they taught and stressed about our word. That's all you have in life and in business. And I'm so glad that I learned that a long time ago, because it's you can prove that once, but prove that 20, 50, 100 times. All of a sudden, people are just naturally being attracted to you. You're no longer having to chase business. I think that's another piece too. Back in the day with a coach, somebody said, you've made it when you stop chasing and you just start attracting.
Yeah.
And I think that is another big piece of, the ultimate success in any type of business, right? But you're attracting for the good reasons. They know that they're going to come to you for this, and this, that you are. If you say you're going to do it, it's going to happen. If they say that you're going to close on this particular day, it's going to happen, right? Or if I say that it can't happen, they can trust that as well. They're not wasting time. That was a big piece that I wanted to always make sure, like if I could not do it, nobody else could. So I've exhausted every opportunity for this deserving buyer. And the hard thing is, in the world that I'm in, which is the mortgage industry, everybody's had a life. I've had a life. I've had things. I've had dings on my credit. Nobody's perfect, right? And I always say I'm not a bank girl, because I don't represent perfection. I have a lot of, blemishes all throughout just life in general. And so how do you serve more of that community, right? Just your average person who is not cookie cutter. And that's what I've always wanted to really focus on and help. And I think we do a really great job of that. From good credit to so-called poor credit, to somebody last week coming in with a 540 credit score and closing this week and now close to a 600 credit score. How do we help them, show them what they can do to get themselves in a better position in a quick manner? I grew up in the Northeast, so I always giggle, I feel the need for speed, Top Gun too, but I like to do things fast. I mean, that's just my way. And so when we were all selling the same interest rates back in the day, I was like, what would allow me to shine brighter? Well, maybe speed, and people would say, there's no way someone can do that. And maybe they can do it once, but they can't do it twice, and I'll tell you, I probably close 10 to 15 8-day closings in a month, right? Yeah. And that's because, not that I want to do that and overwhelm anybody. That was the need of the consumer, right? They came in and the closing's falling apart and they don't want to lose that particular house. So they need to close fast. And we follow the laws and the regulations and everything. But being able to meet the need, I think that's key. Another client just recently used that speed to be able to shine bright in a negotiation, right? So that's another thing that makes me really happy and proud of what we've been able to create here locally, is just not being average. How do you level up?
Well, with the 30-day average close, I mean, you certainly have exceeded that by quite a margin.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think there's some amazing originators out there. There's some people that are getting in the business for the right reasons. I question the wrong reasons. Those originators shouldn't be there. I do think one thing when I coach and mentor loan officers and even real estate agents, I've been in the business 20 plus years. I feel as if I'm very good at my job. But the only way that I stay and maintain being good at my job is if I study my craft on a regular basis. I'm the product with a side of mortgage. So people are buying into CareyAnn with me knowing all things about mortgage. Many people go, oh, you have a great team. Everybody does it for you. You are only as good as the people you surround yourself with, which is so true. But they only know the direction to take because I know the guidelines inside and out, right? And so making sure that you know your craft really well, I think, is key. If you're a real estate agent, that contract, you should know all the things. When it comes to mortgage origination, I know guidelines inside and out. I'm the loan whisperer, people call me, or the, rain woman of mortgages, just kind of coming up with some problem solving techniques only because I know guidelines inside and out. Well,
I mean, they say you become a master at your craft after 10,000 hours. Is that right? Have you heard that metric?
Oh, well, I'm going to say possibly. Yeah.
Do you feel like, how long ago did we exceed 10,000 hours? How many hours are you in, do you think?
Yeah. The only thing with the mortgage business, though, is the guidelines change so regularly.
Right.
Today we were on a call for my personal team, and we were talking about, hey, this one loan got denied 3 places and came to us. That guideline, that we're using changed almost 8 months ago.
Wow.
And so, but because we study our craft and we know those guidelines, we were able to bring life back into that transaction that 3 other lenders said they couldn't do. I'm just stating it's very simple, is just study your craft, right? If a new program comes out, know all the ins and outs about it. Call other people that are do it better than you. I love sitting at tables. They say don't be the most intelligent person at any table. You don't want to be there. You want to be somebody that can learn from somebody else. So I try really hard to get in a circle with people that I can learn from on the regular. And that is when, even in my industry, and it's a little harder now because I'm at a higher level, but I remember back in the day, and I know you and I have talked about this, Monty brings this story up all the time, that, I was at the awards banquet and I was the girl that was getting the last award, out of 300 and something originators or something crazy. And I was sitting way in the back, and you have this dream about maybe one day I'll be in the front, receiving it. And now, you are receiving that award as number 1 or number 2. Being able to serve as many, families and making a difference. But we're only as good as the people that we help educate along the way. Somebody has to now be me tomorrow. Who's that going to be?
Right.
And so I really put a lot of energy now in kind of coaching and mentoring the next generation of the originators, for our local community.
And you're doing a great job even with the women in the industry. With some of the program names that you come up with, very creative.
Oh,
yeah. Execute hers.
Yeah, I did. So again, going back to, I'm the product with a side, of mortgage. I always found that if I ever said there was a CareyAnn event, I probably wouldn't welcome as many people, only because maybe they're competitors and maybe they're threatened or they say, well, I can't go to a CareyAnn event because I have my own lender. Which would lessen the ability for me to meet new people. So I decided that I would always name all my events. And that was created a long time ago with a couple girlfriends of ours. We started the Real Estate Blaze, which was very, very successful. And then COVID hit and we had to dissolve that. But I've moved in the direction of Elevate. And I started a women's group, which is semi kind of just in holding right now, because there is a lot that goes into hosting events and staying committed and consistent with everything. And now that this year I've been over the last kind of year and a half trying to navigate all lanes of my life, I had to let one thing go to be able to shine brighter in others. But Execute Hers was a group that I created just to love on other women who were very driven. Being women in business, you can have it all if you choose. That you can be at home and be an amazing mom at home as well. I support all decisions from all people. I choose, and what fuels my bucket is to be very driven in all those different aspects of my life. And so being a businesswoman was not going to stop me from being a mom and being a very successful mom as well. But also being a mom was not going to slow me from being very, very successful within my industry as well too. So I wanted to be able to, be and help other women see that it is okay to be driven. It is okay to want more. It is okay to be the breadwinner. It is okay to have the fancy house that you provided for yourself. It's okay. All those things are okay.
Well, even being the person that was the last to get the award, it's okay to see yourself up above that stage. Yeah. I've heard that story before, but I don't think I've ever asked. Was there a commitment made in your mind at that point? I'm going to be up there. Did you just know?
No, it's funny. I never thought I was worthy of being up there because those people were not me. Those were fancy people. Those were people like that had a special gift. I didn't have that gift, right? Or what I thought. And that goes back to really focusing on you understanding your true worth, and that you're worthy of success. You're worthy of a successful business. You're worthy of making this much money or that much money, right? People put ceilings and think, because back in the day, I always said, if I could only make this much money, I'd be really happy. If I could make that much money, right? It kind of leveled up. And then all of a sudden, I just started just doing what I do, which is serving the community and staying true to my word and just helping as many families as I could. And all of a sudden it just the sky opened, and I was serving a lot and making a lot and doing a lot. I did find that more money doesn't create more happiness, though, right? Unless you can understand all things for your personal self. That was one thing that I learned the hard way.
And people, I think, need to learn that the hard way, because you can hear that. And Brad Lee and I've talked, he wrote a book called The Hard Way.
Oh, okay.
Right. And he talked about all the lessons he's learned the hard way. And he and I kind of always disagree on this notion. I said, you're still going to get people, despite reading your book, that are going to have to learn the hard way. Mm-hmm. Some people are just going to have to touch the hot stove to determine what you think is hot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I do think if somebody told me, I never listened to my mom because, she wasn't right. Now I'm sitting here going, well, I should have listened to my mom.
We all go through that. We all go through that.
But I think I'm better. I have thicker skin today for that. I'm walking through some difficult waters, right? And
I don't think I've ever known you to not walk through difficult waters.
Yeah, I'm ready to be done with the difficult water walking. I'm not sure when that happens, but they say God only gives you what you can handle. And this past year I got a little bit of a health scare, and I was scared. I was like, there's no way I can do this. I can be your cheerleader. I can support you. I can help you navigate that difficult health concern, but I don't know if I could help myself, right? And so I then started realizing that it is okay to get help. It's okay. That's when I quickly knew I needed some extra help, because if things get really difficult, you still have tomorrow. Yeah. The movie that's out that Aubrey and I watched recently called the Feelings movie. What's it called?
Inside Out 2.
Inside Out 2, right? But they talk
now
about
in theaters.
Yeah, there you go. But they talk about joy and what was
sadness.
Sadness. Yeah. But it walks side by side. It's like right next to each other, because without one, you don't have the other usually, or without the other, there's not one. You're going to see both of them.
You're getting me in the feels right now.
Yeah, but you're going to have them both, right? And so, the sun does shine after the stormiest storms. Amen. Right? And so knowing that, we just hang on to be able to work through that. However, success does not create happiness. Money does not create happiness. At the end of the day, we don't take all of this with us. Nothing, me buying a new fancy purse might spike my excitement for a minute, or me going, on a trip might do something. I need to use that to help me kind of reorganize my thoughts and, kind of get me back, on track for a stronger tomorrow. Right. And so that piece has been hard, because I think some of us are so driven. We just don't have time for ourselves, and then we wake up one day and you're like, oh goodness, my daughter's going to be eventually a certain age and I'm going to have to deal with myself then, so why not deal with it now? But yeah. And I think, the other part is finding your people. A good coach recently talked about find your people. And then I started realizing that I was trying to satisfy and please not my people. Like, these are not my people. Why am I wasting and exhausting all my time and energy that people are not seeing my worth, right? And if I can't see my own worth, that's the reason why I was, trying to please these other people. So over the last year too, I started realizing that it's okay that these people are not my people. It is okay. I wish you all the best. You're just not my people. And I'm going to work hard to find my people that can appreciate the efforts, the work that I put in, for the business and, friendships, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that was a big learning curve too. And, we can learn something new. We can be old and learn.
A lot of the things, to your point, you talked about the happiness and joy, or joy and sadness. I call it mountains and valleys.
Yeah.
As we get older in life, we go through a lot more. We know what the mountaintops feel like. We know what the valleys feel like for sure. And it's understanding that, these things only last a certain time. It's being able to get outside of yourself and be self-aware enough to know when the valleys come to an end. And, hey, the mountaintop, the ascent is beginning. Oh, well, now, I'm going to have to anticipate a valley, and it's okay. I got to go through this, because you can't appreciate the mountaintops without going through the valleys.
So
right?
True. Yeah, so true. And I think it strengthens everything across the board. It makes you appreciate the dollar that you earned, right? I think it makes you appreciate the dollar you lost with business. I mean, this is business, right? I mean, we've got some good days and some bad days. But we have tomorrow. That's what I think. And I think getting back in the game as quickly as you can. A good guy named Hal Elrod, he created the book called Miracle Morning, but he also, which everybody should read. It's a great book to kickstart your day, right? I take part of that. I like to read for 30 minutes, listen. I don't script, so I don't write, but that could be something you could do as well. Health, physical health, and things like that. But he also talked about how, we're driving down the road and we're in traffic, and we just bitch and moan and complain about the traffic, right? And he's like, you just need to give yourself 5 minutes to bitch and moan, right? You get 5 minutes, get it all out. And then we got to get back in the game. We have no time, right? So a lot of us, we take yesterday's chaos and we bring it in tomorrow, right? Or we bring it into today. The thing with business is we've got to not let more of yesterday be within our today. We've got to really just kind of get going with the new day. And it's okay that people make mistakes within business. It's just, what are the solutions that we're going to create so we don't make that mistake again, right? Yeah. This is the business that mostly is humanized in our industry, right? This is the people business that I'm in, which means that not everybody's going to be perfect, right? So we are going to have some ups and we're going to have some downs. But when we do have the missteps, what are we going to do to make it right next time? Or how are we going to possibly work hard to just stick the landing close enough, to the finish line, to offset, something that may have caused, some grief, because that's the big part of our business too. Being leaders is, really keeping people in the game. Yeah. And some people say, I love the easy button. You can buy that easy button and you can hit it and you can put like a song and, or a saying or whatever. I put the song Let It Go, because it reminds me of my daughter. And it says, let it go. It's time to let it go and you got to get over it. But holding grudges, right? Holding stuff, that caused you, and you're so upset that you lost that last transaction. That's just going to slow you down from getting the next transaction, right? Yeah. And so getting back in the game as quickly as we can has helped me a lot this year too.
The biggest asset I have, and her, my wife, she's, we're two peas in a pod.
Yeah, she's amazing. We
gut check each other.
There you go.
We've been in situations, recently, getting back to your point you made about friends and your people. I've been championing this notion that when someone pops in your head, you should check on them.
Oh, sure. Right? Yeah.
And it's like, we do a lot of that for people, Courtney and I. But the reciprocation, it's like lacking in a way. We do have people that check. I'm not saying we're completely, going through a desert, but it's a little bit of a valley that we're going through in that sense, knowing that at some point we're going to come out the other end. It's one of those things that it makes you appreciate and have gratitude for those around you, for sure.
Yeah.
Because she is, just somebody who gut checks me in certain scenarios. One of the things that Vaynerchuk talks about that is being self-aware, right? And in certain scenarios that we've been through recently, I've always been the kind of person, and maybe it's because of my mother. I look in the mirror first and go, okay, is it me? Is it something I'm doing? And 9 times out of 10 is usually a validation or a vindication that comes that says, no, a lot of other people are seeing it too in this scenario, whatever. And we went through a pretty significant scenario recently where I'm still kind of processing it. But Courtney is like gut checking me going, no, this is like this other situation you went through. You need to find your way over this and just, get it out of your mind. And it's good to have that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like, man, that self-awareness factor can be a bitch sometimes.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to fall back to. It's easy to fall back in old habits, mental habits, right? So like 2 + 2 is 4. We know that 2 + 2 is 4. Yeah. And why some days we struggle with getting to 4. Like it's clear. It's very clear.
Yeah.
We know what we need to do, right, to get there. But sometimes we're paralyzed.
What's changed,
Yeah. And that could be in our personal selves, with our lives, and also just in business, business is going great. And then all of a sudden it just, is kind of died there for a second. I can shake my tail feather left, right, up, down, all the things. I can do everything. But the market is what the market is. I can't shift that. So I have to change one of the factors to still get to 4 here, if that's the ultimate goal for me, right? So I'm moving this and I'm doing all the things, I'm going to have to change my audience, right? Or change where I'm doing business, or change some sort of middle factor to be able to still achieve. Right now, a lot of real estate agents are discussing, the changes that may happen with the NAR settlement and different things. And
Right.
I won't speak too much into it, except for the fact that this is a change, right?
Yeah.
That is happening. And so how does one embrace change? Well, possibly, the 80-20 rule happens. Maybe 20% are not going to be affected at all by it. 80% of the real estate community may need to make some tweaks to how they're doing business, right? Their scripting, their confidence level, their this, because something has to change there to still achieve the same outcome or even more. Why should a decision of another is not going to change the outcome of my success? I keep telling myself that. The decision of another is not going to change the outcome of my success, which means that if this major national change occurs, that does not mean that my business lessens any. I'm deserving and I'm worthy of a very successful business. So with this change, I'm going to need to change some other things, to be able to continue to move in a forward direction. And that's what happened to the mortgage business a long time ago. If I wanted to make blank amount of money at the end of the year and we're capped at a certain dollar figure now, which is, I think, fine, and I'm believing in it and all the things, that just means I need to serve and help more families,
Right. Right.
if I still want to, achieve the bottom line. So I think that's the other piece too, is in business is being very, just being on your tippy toes as often as you can and being able to pivot as quickly, and we talk about that word a lot in our other podcasts, but it is so true. Today I might go left, tomorrow I might have to go right because there is, construction on the road, type of thing. Just stuff happens, the client made a mistake on something, which we still need to get to the finish line. What's going to happen? I'm just going to say sorry and I go mute? No, I can't do that. I got to come up with a solution, right?
Yeah.
We're in the solution-based business too. It's all we do is create solutions for everyday problems, that continue to come up. And I really love the industry that I'm in. It brings me a lot of joy. It challenges me. It makes me stronger because I've been able to get through some major obstacles. But with business, just comes with all the feelings, like the movie we said, you've got the anxiety, you've got the sadness, you've got the joy, you've got, all of it that comes with business, and how you're able to navigate through it with the most success is what we're really trying to accomplish.
I think we're in a tumultuous time too, and there's a calming yet to come. I talk about it a lot with the pendulum theory, the book that I've read.
Sure.
I believe that everything that we're seeing now is temporary. It says in Ezekiel that basically there's nothing new under the sun. We've been through things like this before. Have hope, have faith that this will calm down. Everybody's not going to be at each other's throats forever, in this tumultuous time. That same thing in life is true. You have a lot of different things that happen to us that, like you're talking about the roadblocks, construction pops up that forces you. You can either, put your shoulder and try and plow through it. But what's the point of that? I think God is putting things in your path to make you got to turn.
Yeah. My girlfriend says I'm right where I'm supposed to be with every move that I make.
Mm-hmm.
And some days it's hard. I'm like, really? I'm supposed to be here? Really?
This isn't fun.
I'm like, come on. I don't believe any bit of what you just said to me type of thing. I do push back sometimes, but, you do have to have faith that tomorrow there is some rhyme or reason to everything. But if you stop, if you give up on yourself, if you give up on the ultimate goal of whatever you were trying to achieve, I've got a long list of goals that I still have. I some days I get one foot up to the starting block and then I push back, right? And then the next day I'm so much closer on the starting block and then I fall back, and the gal that I talk to now on a regular basis, she's like, Nike came up with a slogan. It says, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, you're right. I should just do it. I don't know why, as somebody who's so confident, who is so fearful, right, of whatever. And the most successful are the ones that jump in the deep end and then learn to swim. They take the risks, they take the big leaps. And so by coming on this podcast and talking about it, by talking with friends, by connecting with others that are very similar, will help me get there. I think, it's one of those deals where it is our time. It is your time. It's the person that's listening to this podcast. It is your time to do all the things that you want, because we're not promised tomorrow.
Right.
We are not. And after my mom got diagnosed with cancer a couple of years ago and I already lost my father, it really hit me in the head. And smacked me in the face, because my mom and I had a relationship that was not good. I love my mother, but we struggled a lot. I took everything she said seriously, and I couldn't appreciate, just her feedback or anything. And as soon as she got cancer and the thought of losing her, I was like, no, I love every ounce of all the things you're saying. I'm not going to allow me to lose another parent without finding the good in our relationship. And so we're just not promised tomorrow,
Right.
And there's a bigger plan for all of us. But that also doesn't state that we don't have the ability to go do all the things we want to do too, right? And so if you want to go on a vacation with your family, I was just telling you that story. My parents, didn't have a lot of money. They had 4 kids. We would drive 22 hours to go to Disney World and be in a pop-up tent or pop-up camper, to be able to have that experience, right? And saved every dollar and every moment there to create those memories. And I just saw in my storage unit the other day, I must have done a report on that trip. And I'm in tears remembering that trip. I can tell you every move we made on the trip. And I think I was 10, it was back, I won't tell you the year.
Right.
But you do those things, I think it's important to do all. And that's the reason why I started traveling more recently. So,
Well, that's good for you. And it's like a gratitude that you can certainly take to heart. I can do this, you know? It's like there's Rich and I do a podcast, and we've got an episode coming out. And by this time, it probably will be out. And I brought up a song idea to these guys. They're called the Wolf Brothers from Australia.
okay.
And they were on the show with us, and we did it here and everything. And we talked about the notion of most people are living in their have-to days, because they have to. They have to do the things they do. They have to get out of bed. And they're working towards, hopefully, at some point, getting to their get-to days, right? But I guess it's one of those things that, yes, while we are getting to those days, we get to do a lot of things, It may seem like work, One of the pivots we had to make recently that just kind of presented itself as an opportunity, and we understanding that perfection is going to be completely down the road, and if attainable at all, we're going to mess up and fail our way into this thing. We got into the garage door
Jordan
business.
taught us that. We can fail for it, so it's fine.
We got into the garage door business. I've got a full set of tools in the back of my Jeep right now. I can go change a set of springs on a garage door.
Look at you
today.
go.
And it's one of those things that pushing 50, what the heck am I doing? You know what I mean? You're doing what needs to be done. This is a good opportunity, and we've got a bunch of champions around us that can make it work. A good team that's adaptable. It's a solution to near-term challenges, for cash flow and things of that nature. Why not pursue it? It's within town. We could serve the community very effectively. We don't have to go out of town or travel or anything. It's all right here in our backyard.
And I think you should do you for you, right? So there's other people out there that say, I don't want to do all these things. And I think that's completely fine. That's your decision. For those of us crazies out there that do want to do all those things, that's okay too. One way is not the right way. It's just your way, I think, is the right way, right? And so going back to the have-tos and
the get-tos.
Some of us feel like we have to do certain things to get there, but what if I never make it there? Right. So I had to remind myself that there needs to be joy throughout.
Well, look at the Martina McBride song, Do It Anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. I think that's key. And then put little achievements. I mean, it could be a tent in the backyard or something, an ice cream sundae or whatever. Like, find things that bring you the most joy, but don't wait. I think I waited too long to start living, and probably wasted, 13 years of my life. But I am not now. Right. No. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to take advantage of all the joy that I have.
Gary Vee would tell you, right?
What would you tell me? Drink wine?
You got a lot of time left. You have a lot of time.
Yes.
You know, and you realize you made that realization early, you know, still in your 40s. We're still in our 40s, man. We got a lot of time left.
Here we go.
We can decide to look at our 40s and say, man, I'm getting old. No, you can say I'm getting older. Sounds better.
Yeah.
You know, I'm on level 48 of a video game. I have yet to meet the big boss.
I love it.
You know?
There you go. I think that's a great outlook of it. But don't forget about you is the whole point,
Right.
what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Because when you wake up one day and you don't think there is even a you, right? It's just a shell. I think that it becomes really empty. So don't forget about you, and you're worthy of greatness too. So.
Well,
Good
you met Gary Vee at one point, didn't you, at an event?
I think I paid a lot of money to shake that man's hand. Yes, and took my picture. I got
Any
that.
chit chat
and
with him at all?
I think possibly. I don't. I think I got the picture, and I made. Oh, I know it. I think I made him say "so good." That's what I made him say.
He probably appreciated that.
Yeah, you know, I was like, "Hey, so you're all about branding. I just need you to say one thing for me. Can you say so good?" So that's my brand too, because life is so good. Everything, you know, you can have a boring life, or you can bring some joy into it, and so it's.
I think the boring lives there's an entrapment mentality with the people that are in the 2 years that are doing things that was told to them that they had to do. Follow this route. Here's the school to go to.
Sure.
You know, and you're going to be quote successful. And I meet so many people that are just utterly miserable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not forging their own path. I look back on my life. I forged my path in radio. It was unconventional. It was unorthodox. It gave me a skill set that is very rare and is in vogue again with podcasting. Never thought that would happen getting out of radio, but here I am. And it was one of those things that, you know, for the longest time when I was in the car business, I reflected back on it. I had a customer that bought 2 cars from me, and she and I just hit it off wonderfully. And I started just data dumping, and she was just an easy person to talk to. And I was just like, I'm going to be 40. I'm not financially where I thought I'd be when I was 18, yada, yada, yada. You know, I got this and that. We're one paycheck away from being insolvent. She goes, oh my gosh, you're just so hard on yourself. I said, wow, okay, thank you. Why do you say that? She goes, you don't realize where your money went. I said, it's certainly not in the bank. And she goes, it's in your children because you're able to keep your wife home. It's like, how many people can do that these days?
Sure, yeah.
And we did it. And it's like, it was like a mental shift that happened right then and there. The whole business that I was in, the car business, was a mental shift. It was my college education. But man, what a life changer. I literally have gratitude for that woman being in my life, even though it was for a grand total of maybe 3 hours.
Yeah, isn't it funny? Sometimes people can just say the simplest things that can make it all make sense. You know,
it's an outside perspective.
Yeah, it all makes sense. You know, and I always feared therapy for a long time,
right?
Because I don't need help. Like
the stigma that maybe in your own mind,
And then who's going to help me? You know, this Yankee, that's strong woman. I'm just going to tell him to fly a kite. Probably use a few more passionate words than that, but. I found a gal who is amazing. I mean, she tells me just how it is. And she puts me in my place and reminds me, you know, of things. And I think it's important, you know, and I'm okay talking about it. I'm okay saying that I am this and I am that. And I'm very proud of all that I've accomplished and where I'm headed, because like you said, there's a lot of life to live. I'm eventually going to just do it and jump in. And I've got some big opportunities coming down the pipe. And I'm excited for them. And I'm going to make some big splashes and hopefully allow for those to do some really, really good back to the community too. So I think it's going to be a win. I'm
going to tell you, man, I mean, since I've known you, I think 2017, 2018, when we first met, you are a vastly different person than when we first met. You were a person, I mean,
hopefully good.
It is for the good. It is for good.
Like,
what I'm about to tell you, I don't want to get you welled up with tears. But dude, I'm proud of you, man. I really am. I champion you all the time.
Thank you.
I'm happy to do it. And, Well,
I'm grateful for our friendship. And you've been able to bring, you know, a belief that you had in me a long time ago, you know. I mean, can you imagine our first radio show? I mean, look, I was terrible at it, you know, and now we're able to be more comfortable, you know, behind the mic. I could sing you a song all day long, but to talk, you know, I'd make up my own words, you know, people would laugh back in my hometown going, please don't talk, type of thing. And now that's what I do a lot and help others. So I'm grateful for our friendship. So
thank you. I appreciate that as well. We're going to wrap it up. I had a question.
Okay.
Every podcast episode, I forget to commit to the one idea. I've got an idea for a person to sit in that very chair. I have an instinct and a compulsion thinking that he's going to sit where you're sitting, and that person is Dennis Quaid. I just have a feeling like we know each other.
Oh, and you're going to have Dennis Quaid sit here?
I mean, he's going to be there someday.
Okay, well, I'll sit over there. And then.
But with that question, with that notion being put out there, you've been on a couple of podcasts. You are on a podcast and are part of one. Who could you, if you could interview anybody, who would you want to talk to?
Oh, goodness. Oh, Lord. Good Lord. Oh my good Lord. I've there's a long list of people.
Who comes to mind immediately?
Goodness.
So many of them.
I know. You have Dennis Quaid?
I don't know why. I just feel like I've had like impressions when we first moved to town in 2005 and we moved into our house. I just knew we would have artists of some type in our living room singing songs. Like I said, I'm not only am I going to meet the musicians, of course, that's inevitable around here. Mm-hmm. I made good friends with Rich. He's like a brother to me at this point. Mm-hmm. But I just knew, and it happened in 2009, maybe 10. I had the front, what they're now known as the front men, and they were just starting out with the idea around this time. But it was Tim Rushlow from Rushlow in Little, Texas, Larry Stewart from Restless Heart, and Richie McDonald from Lone Star.
Okay.
In my living room, doing a video, because I was doing video at the time.
Oh. And
they brought their instruments. Richie McDonald is singing Amazed in my living room, the voice of the biggest wedding song of the early millennium. And Courtney and I are going, I'm like, can you believe this?
Yeah. I would tell you that for those that know me, know that I'm a lover of all things Kenny Rogers, so I would bring him back and put him here.
There you go.
I would do that.
That's all right.
And I also would bring back my dad, I think. And I would be so proud to interview him. And he would teach so many people so many things. And we're approaching, 4th of July coming up, and he would have us, do a big 4th of July singing event, every year. And he was a big Lee Greenwood fan and would sing "Proud to Be American."
Yeah.
Or
God bless the USA.
Yeah.
Great song.
So I would. They're not with us now, but two people that have moved the needle in my life. I think I'd bring it back.
I'd like to talk to my dad again too. Mm-hmm. It's been almost 20 years since he's gone, but it's one of those things that you like to what we talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. Going through that time of life where our parents don't know anything.
Sure.
My kids are kind of going through that now, where Courtney and I are just complete and utter idiots, and we know eventually they're going to say, "Okay, we were wrong." My father, I would have to owe a big apology to, and say, yeah, okay. Now I get it, and going through times in life right now, I wish I could ask him, hey, when you went through this with me, what was your mindset? Because I feel like at some point you guys with me just got to the point of, let's just get him to 18.
Oh, sure.
Maybe he'll go to college. At least the older brother, Dan, he was able to, he's on the path. Jimmy, jury's still out. I mean, literally, which is okay. And I've talked to my mother about it, and I said, look, I completely get it. I wasn't the easiest kid, but man, I said, what was the mindset? She's like, I don't remember. She's not exactly articulate in that way. I think my dad would be, So.
Yeah. I mean, I think you would close the loop on all of the lessons that were taught,
Right.
like, oh, now I get it. Yeah. And I think him being able to see, and I know he looks down and sees all that I've accomplished, but he was a big push with a lot of that. When it came to music, he was the singer in the family. I was the only singer out of 4 kids, and he was the one when I decided to take this crazy leap into the mortgage business, flew down and got a bunch of maps and put it all over my Goodwill coffee table the only thing I could afford at the time, and circled every real estate office on these maps from the gas station and said, that's opportunity. I need you to see that there's lots of opportunity here and you can make it. And he had a big belief in me. So it's kind of cool to think about, where I started and where I've come and where I'm headed. So
are you still singing? Because the last time in one of the episodes we talked about you being like integrating the singing into your personal branding efforts.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to get back into that. That's fun. Right now, you can drink a bottle of wine or you can sing for 2 hours. Right. So I choose to sing. Depending on the day, it would determine which is happening. But, I created a little studio upstairs and I do that just more to release, energy, et cetera. But it would be great. One of the biggest joys that I always had was sharing a gift of music with others, making other people smile. Through the gift of song. I think that is something really special. Not everybody can do that. And so when you're able to do that, I think when you see that you move somebody through song, I think it is amazing. And so maybe someday.
I think on a lot of that comes from the joy that people get from people who can open their mouth and create music or sit down at a drum set and create music or a guitar or piano. It's seeing the joy it brings them. You know?
Yeah.
My brother, case in point, you had mentioned earlier, when you're the best in the room, you're not going to grow.
Right.
And I've been imploring him recently, dude, your kids are one's in college, one's about to be a senior. You're going to be released from Michigan, the prison states that you're in. I said, you're able to go wherever you want,
Yeah.
And I'm trying to get him out of the mindset of, you're 53, but dude, there's still time.
Mm-hmm.
If you've always wanted to be in a band that toured arenas and get that out of your system, you can still do that. It can happen here.
Yeah.
There are people
Kentucky
that I know.
Fried Chicken started his gig
Exactly.
at a certain age,
Right.
So yeah, we can, and oh, by the way, 60's the new 40, right?
Yeah.
What Clint Eastwood is looking like a rock star.
years old.
Something like that, So, there's a lot of life to live, which we're blessed with. But it's time to live, right? So it's get to living, get off the couch, look in the mirror and say, you're worthy of all the things you want to do and achieve and go out and just start to do it. So
many people are living to death. And there was a guy on a beach vacation back in 2005, before we moved here.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear how he said it. We were on the beach having a beer with Courtney and his wife and everything. We just happened to meet them the second to last night that we were there watching the sunset. And we just got on a philosophical talk about life. And he just came out with it just like this. Life is for the living. And it was like another one of those file cabinet moments. You're like, I'm always going to remember that.
Yeah.
But that's very true. So mymortgageteam.com, that's the website people should go to when they want to reach out to you.
Oh, you're going to go to mymortgageteamsite.com.
Site.com.
Yeah, SITE. That's going to be our website. Yeah, and you can follow us on social. We'd love to connect. And anybody looking to get in the mortgage business, you can always reach out to me. I'd love to help you.
CareyAnn is going to be a heck of a mentor for you. You want to get into the business, that's the one to go into. The one thing I will tell you is the product that you have, we've become the all-in-one mortgage.
Yes.
The all-in-one loan, rather. It's something that I signed on to not too long ago. And it's an interesting thing because you're looking at it like a ratchet mechanism. Everything you operate out of your mortgage. And it's really kind of cool. You have access to your equity at any given moment.
For full 30 years.
Full 30 years. All of your income goes against the principal, and it's calculated, the interest is calculated on a daily basis. And it's like it ratchets down. All your income goes against that principal. You pay some bills, you get another paycheck, and it ratchets it down.
It uses all your residual income that's sitting in your checking account that's not doing anything for you.
Right.
It saves you so much money on your interest costs with knowing that you have access to that money at any time.
If you need it.
If you need it.
Yeah.
So it's a win.
mymortgageteamsite.com. Make sure you go there. I'll put the link in the description as well as CareyAnn's social media links.
Yeah.
Do you have like a link tree or anything that has them all?
I should be fancy and get that, shouldn't I?
Yeah. It's not that expensive.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll work on that.
And thank you for being here. Really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And
Pleasure.
of course, guys, check us out at mostly Middle Tennessee businesspodcast.com. You can type it all out if you like, or just go the easy route and put in MMTBP.com, which will take you to a link tree that's got all the links in there, the video, the audio, all the different platforms. Pick your favorite one, pick your poison. that'd be great. And of course, leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. 5-star preferably, maybe a little blurb. That would be awesome. If there's anything less than a 5-star, let me know. I can make it a 5-star. I mean, just kind of bantering back and forth would hopefully help. And of course, if you want to be on the show, there is a link there that you can fill out a form. Let us know that you're interested, and we'll talk. CareyAnn, always a pleasure.
Thank you. It was so good.